In today's episode, we're going to talk about growing and evolving as a trader, meaning what to start with and how to really develop your future trading style and future trading strategy off of that. We're also going to talk about running tests on kids. Parents, hopefully you'll understand what I mean. Now, if you haven't done so already, make sure you check out our website, www.tier1trading.com. Lots of educational resources on the platform. So great that we're actually featured in Forbes magazines and called one of the leaders in innovation when it comes to education, or education in the trading space, I should say. So check it out, www.tier1trading.com, and enjoy today's show. George says, Ali, I think you're struggling with the fact that you can do anything you want in trading as long as you're consistent with it. Yeah, a lot of people are like that. It's hard to create your own rules as human beings in general, right? Many of us are better off just being told what to do instead of given the freedom of deciding what to do, right? I get that with athletes all the time too. You know, my coaching philosophy for athletics is the same as with you guys, where it's like, hey, this isn't kind of a dictatorship and you do what you're told. Like, we have discussions about stuff, and we get some athletes that are like, hey, they really want to be a part of the process. We're like, hey, like, let's talk about this workout. I like when we do this, or can we tweak this? There are other athletes that are just like, just tell me what to do, coach. Like, I don't want to make any, I don't want to make any decisions. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. So yeah, in general, a lot of us are more comfortable in a state like that, and we're used to it in different aspects of life, you know, all the way growing up through schooling. Many parents treat us like that. Jobs, for example, boss gives us assignments, we do assignments. So it's freedom is a gift and a curse, right? It's just like, you know, we talk about entrepreneurship as a gift and a curse. Freedom is a massive gift and a curse, because it's cool to be free. It's cool to be unshackled. Like, imagine like a dog that is they're used to having this electric fence, and they're trained. We're like, okay, well, I stay inside this electric fence because that's what I'm supposed to do. As soon as the electric fence is off, right, and they have the freedom to roam around, they can get into some trouble if they want to, and it's often difficult. So trading is the same way, where it's awesome to have this freedom because we can literally mold ourselves and our plan and our strategy and whatnot, our business and anything we want. But then there comes the doubt where it's like, well, should I be molding it like this? Should I be doing that? Can I do this? Can I do that? So it is often difficult. It is often difficult. Yeah. Well, that's, again, going back, that's one of the reasons I chose CTS. I needed a scoring system to keep me from doing everything. I was doing everything. I was everywhere doing everything, and I like the CTS system because I'm like, okay, I have this checklist. Now I can only operate within this checklist. At least I had some type of electric fence keeping me kind of calm. I can only operate within this checklist. Or advanced pattern formations, where it's like, okay, either if it hits the 618, it's a Gartley. If it doesn't, it's not. Like, it was. I didn't have much freedom there. I had a little bit of freedom in the identification of the legs. I guess a little bit of freedom. I didn't tweak anything at first, but a little bit of freedom in like tweaking, you know, how I handled stops and targets and stuff like that. So there was enough freedom for me to feel like I was, you know, doing something on my own. But but patterns are pretty. They're pretty caged in, right? Again, aside from the ability to analyze a leg, you're pretty caged in. Like, if it hits this level, it is. If it doesn't hit this level, it's not. So I needed that first, and then you kind of inch your way into the freedom. Once you get comfortable and you start trusting yourself, then you kind of allow yourself more freedom. And that's the normal intuition of trading. We talked about that as well. You have to earn your intuition. You can't just be like, oh, I feel this, I think that. No, you have to earn that with experience, where you have to earn your right to, I don't want to say break rules, but adjust rules. You earn your right to become more free, right? Same thing as raising children. Same way, right? When you're first, you have your kid out, right? And your kid is a certain age, and you're walking on a busy road. What do, right? You hold your kid's hand, right? right? You got a young kid, I'm trying to think like age 2 or 3, right? You're holding their hand on any sidewalk, right? Because do you trust that kid necessarily to not run into traffic and get hit? No. So you're holding their hand, you're holding them tight, you're doing the thing where you're walking on the outside near the road, blah, 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 right? Then eventually you start teaching your kids some of these rules where it's like, hey, this is the end of the sidewalk, that's a red light, that's a green light, that means go, that means stop, look left, right, left, say, my kids, I teach them, they look and then they say all clear, right? And you gotta yell all clear, and then you look again, and then you go, right? So you do this a little bit while holding their hand. And, and they mess up, and then you teach them, you reinforce it, and then eventually they get it. So then, they evolve to the next step where maybe you're not holding their hand anymore, but like maybe you got your hand on the back of their hoodie, back of their shirt, or on their shoulder. And then you test it again, right? And then no hand, no touching, but you're right next to them, right? And then, you go through your they run to the street a little bit, and hey, what are you doing? And then, eventually they get it. Well, now you get to the point where eventually, and I like to do this. I'm a tester, right? So I trust my kids. I trust my parenting. Not everyone is the same, but I like running little tests to see what are you going to do. So we'll be on and it won't be like a busy highway, obviously, or anything like that, but we'll be on the street, and I'll let you go a little bit. I'll let you go on your own, and let's just see what you do. Not everyone agrees with this approach. I had a fourth grade teacher who was what's it called when it's like, what would be the form of like racist or sexist, but like per genders? Genderist? No, that sounds too much like generous. Whatever that would be, I don't know the word for that. But she misogynist. That's what it is? Misogynist? Maybe. Okay, I feel like I had back pain the other day, and I was looking for that on the internet, and now it explains the Google search results that I got. It also explains why no one wanted to rub my back. Okay. But so she had a thing against dudes and we found out because she was very mean towards the guys, to us in class. And we found out because again, she had a daughter and a son. She did the same thing. And her daughter paid attention to the rules, and her son ran into the street and almost got hit by a car. So now she doesn't trust boys and all this stuff. But yeah, you let them go. And then you do a test, and you're like, okay, let's see how smart you are, kid. Let's see if you stop, or let's see if you go splat, right? This is I believe in what, Darwinism, survival of the fittest. Let's see what happens. And sometimes they stop. Hopefully, if you taught them the right way and you went through the process the right way, you're not just doing it the second time, but you learn. And they look back and forth. They look back at you, and they wait for approval, right? So it's like you earn your freedom. You earn your freedom in everything. We spoke about the sports references as well, where, hey, you're rookie player on the pitch, you're rookie player on the field, right? You do what the coach tells you. You don't do anything else, right? You're on the field for the first time. You do only what the coach tells you. There's no freedom. You're a robot. Don't you move outside of your zone. Don't you do outside of what you're supposed to do, right? But then you fast forward and you're a wild veteran. You do whatever you want, right? You think Lionel Messi follows rules? Coach, let me roam, right? But he's earned that right over time, where he's going to do more of the right things. He's earned that freedom. So it's tough at first. So we have to dip a toe into the pool of freedom, guys. We have to dip a toe, and then our toe adjusts to the temperature of the pool, and then we put a half foot in there, and we keep doing that. And on that journey, you make mistakes. Yes, you make mistakes and you learn from your mistakes. But on that journey, you learn, you become more confident. And your rules, it's funny, you have more and less rules at the same time. You have more rules because you've learned more things on the way, but those rules start to loosen a little bit. You give yourself more freedom, where all of a sudden it starts off as price must hit the Fibonacci. If it doesn't, no way I'm not trading. Or the CTS example I gave you earlier. Price must be at structure. RSI must be overbought. Must have double top. All of these things must happen for me to even think about taking this trade. And then you fast forward 10 years, you're like, no, you know what? I no longer need the RSI to be overbought. Why? Well, because, I noticed that it doesn't really make it that much of a difference in my trading. So you took that rule out. Or, yeah, price needs to be in a Fibonacci zone. As long as we come within like 5% of the Fibonacci, it's good. Or maybe you start, your structure zone becomes bigger. Your structure zone becomes smaller, right? But you don't do this at once, because when you're new, you're going to make mistakes. Or you're going to make these adjustments that they're not going to be real adjustments. You're going to be BS. When you end up making those adjustments, you're making them off of a reason, because of years of observation in the market, years of journaling. Right? I was talking to Jason about this. We did the Trader Coffee Break the other day about position sizing and money management, and we just spoke about the ever evolving trading plan. Actually, we did another one, trade plan development. Before that, we spoke about the ever evolving trading plan, and why does it always evolve? Well, because we're always evaluating and we're always learning. We're always becoming more efficient, right? What business, what factory isn't? Kaizen philosophy, continuous improvement. There's always something to work on. So there's always a way to grow. George says, the problem, Kevin says, a person who dislikes, despises, or is strongly prejudiced against women. Would that go for men too, though? Misogynist, going back to the word? Or would there be a different word for men? Not that it matters, I'm just curious now. I learned new words. That's not fair. How come women have a word and men don't? Chauvinist. I heard that, a chauvinist pig. That's for men too, though, right? Men that, I guess, well, there's a greater history of men disrespecting women than women disrespecting men. So that's probably why we don't have any words yet. But I'm all for equal rights, right? I get disrespected every day. Don't tell my wife. Although, in my defense, most of it is brought on by myself, as I complain about losing stuff, and then she asks, did you check the counter? I'm like, yeah, I checked the counter. That's the first place I checked. And then she proceeds to check the counter, and the thing that I lost is right there on the counter in plain sight. And I slowly leave, covered with all the shame of the day. You guys have been there. Don't tell me you haven't. Babe, I lost my keys. Did you check the hook by the fridge with the sign that says key hook? Of course I did. That's the first place I checked. Well, I'll go check it. And then, like, what if it is there? I didn't actually check. I just said that. Tough. But yeah, real quick, George says, the problem is most people don't want to make those mistakes in trading and want to hit it out the park in the first bat. Yeah, and that's why, that is true. We talked about that. I put out a post this morning just talking about effort. Success is the right amount of effort plus the right type of effort. And then the last part is time. It's not just about, you can put in maximum effort in the maximum kind of direction and you're not going to be successful. It just takes time because we have to make mistakes. We have to. I was watching a thing, and I'll end it on this. I don't want to get too ranty, right? I was watching the thing on, of course, the Universe and Science the other day with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he was kind of explaining like different theories in science and how like sometimes science gets a bad rap because like all these theories are always changing, right? Pluto's a planet. Pluto's not a planet. Pluto's a planet again. Oh, there's a bigger planet past Pluto we don't know about, right? And you're like, well, these scientists are stupid. How can it be a planet one day and then like, what, a year later, it's not a planet? Or years later, it's not a planet, and then a year later after that, it becomes a planet again? These scientists are stupid. But they talked about scientific theory as just because you have evolved doesn't make the previous thing wrong. It just means we have more knowledge. So he talked about like Newton's laws, right? You guys familiar with Newton's laws? Like motion and all that fun stuff, right? So Newton's laws, right? Newton's laws are powerful laws. They are still present today. But Newton created those laws with only a certain amount of information. That was a long time ago. Newton didn't have the technology that we have today, right? So when he's thinking of like speed and stuff like that, right? He's generated off, okay, how fast can this horse go, right? Because that's what they had back then. Einstein's laws of like relativity and all that fun stuff and all his research on gravity and whatnot, those are just elevations of Newton's laws taken to a different degree. But without Newton's laws, Einstein's laws aren't created. Now, are Einstein's laws more relative to certain things like space, for example? Yes. Right? Because Newton didn't have that ability. But does that make Newton's laws wrong for the space that he was in? No. So just because you kind of elevate something doesn't make the previous something bad. Right? Same thing if you're trading. You look at your trading style 5 years in the future from your trading style 5 years before. And initially you look at that and you're like, man, well, let's pretend you're not doing dumb stuff. Let's say you actually have like a legit trading strategy. But you look at it and you're like, man, that was stupid. Like, why was I doing that? Especially in comparison to what I'm doing now, this is much better. But ask yourself this question, right? Would you be able to get to the much better if you didn't start with the less better? And the answer is no. You started with something that was valid, but then as you got experience, right, and that's our technology, or maybe you actually got more technology, a better charting platform or a better indicator or a tool or whatever it may be, a better financial resource, right? You were able to build out that initial idea, expand it, and make it better. But that new idea wouldn't be possible without the initial one, right? So it's important to realize like we need a starting point, We need a starting point. That all traders need a starting point. It's impossible to have that bigger idea without the starting point, because the bigger idea is birthed from the starting point. So don't try to get the bigger idea at once. In fact, it is impossible. You just don't have the capability to do it. You don't have the knowledge. But like George mentioned, start with something. Start with something. And then earn your mistakes, earn your knowledge, earn your intuition. Those are going to be the most important lessons that you can get and build off of. I've done so much dumb stuff. And guess what it's taught me? It's taught me what dumb stuff not to do. So I just continually check off the dumb stuff. And eventually, I stopped doing most of the dumb stuff. And when you stop doing most of the dumb stuff, you keep a lot more money. Hope you enjoyed the episode. The recording comes from one of our Monday Q&A sessions, which are my favorite sessions to host. It really allows us to kind of dig deep into the issues and the topics that our traders are working on or dealing with. If you're interested in joining one of our Q&A sessions, it is available with your membership. Just head over to www.tier1trading.com. You can check out the different packages, but I recommend the risk-free trial membership first. That way, you can check out the platform, you can see what the resources look like, you can join a few live sessions with zero risk attached, and make sure it's the right fit for you before making any type of investment. www.tier1trading.com, and I'll see you guys over there.